Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last two decades of my life. At this time, I'm in Victorville. But as I'm going to Victorville, my buddy Bryson, Pt.2, is going back to court in Hawaii. And I don't know how to describe this individual. He's special, for lack of a better word. You know, there's some people that are almost superhuman. They have super strength, super speed, you know, and are expert in martial arts and all this stuff. They're just extraordinary individuals. Well, Bryson Pt.2 is all that and some. Now, when I tell you something like that, you're probably gonna roll your eyes and say, no one like that really exists. And you're not gonna really believe it until you see it for yourself, which in the near future, I hope to be able to present that product to you. But for right now, I'm just gonna share your story about some of the things that he's done. And there's people that's been there with him through through these events that can bear testimony to the individual that he is. After the riot, where I just shared with you in the last episode, after the riot where him and a few of his friends practically beat up a whole unit and some COs. He was detained and thrown in the SHU. But you cannot detain these Bryson. You can't put handcuffs on him unless he allows you to. I've never seen him being forcibly restrained. He has to voluntarily cuff up. Because if he doesn't, there's no way for you to get him unless you... Let's just get to the story, okay? Now they're in the SHU. And it's him, my buddy Matsunaga, and a Hawaiian dude named Rob. They're in the SHU. Matsunaga ended up going back to court. He was in Lompoc in Victorville with me. So he ended up going back to court later. He wanted an appeal in his case. I don't think he got anything from it, but they brought him back to court for resentencing or to be retrial. I don't really know the details. I haven't seen him since I left Victorville. But while they were in Hawaii, after the course, after Matsunaga got done with all his court stuff, he was gonna get shipped back to the mainland, returned back to Victorville, USP. But he wanted to see his son because he hasn't been able to see his son for how many years at that time? This is probably 2005, 2006. So it's been a few years since he's seen his son, and he wanted to visit. He wanted his son, he wanted to see his son before he left, but he was on visiting restriction. At first, they asked the warden, maybe they wrote a cop out or caught the warden coming through when they do their rounds once a week or whatnot. And he asked them, hey man, can I get a visit? Can I get a visit? And they're like, nah, you can't get no visit. You're on visiting restriction. So on this particular incident, one evening, they put Bryson in a cage. They go out to wreck. So Bryson's in one cage, Matsunaga's in another cage, and Rob's in another one. Matsunaga's in the middle cage with Bryson and Rob in a cage on the other side of them. So when the wreck time was up, the CEO come and say, hey, cuff up. You got to go back. Wreck's over with. And Bryson, Matsunaga, and Rob, they all decided to hold the wreck cage. Say, nah, we're bucking. we're not going back until we get some of these issues resolved. And one of the issues that they wanted was for Matsunaga to be able to get a visit from his kid before he goes back to the mainland. But you know, the correctional officer, they never really want to have a conversation with you. They're always in the mentality of like, you're the inmate, we're the guard, you do what the fuck we tell you, and that's that. So you're like, man, nah. Oh, you guys don't want to cuff up? All right, we'll make you cuff up. You guys don't want to fucking relinquish the red cage? We'll come and force you to relinquish the red cage. You know, and when they were getting ready to come in at you, they get all excited because now they get to team up on you. You're in a red cage by yourself. They get to go put on their helmet, their football pads, get their shields, get their can of mace, get their bean bag, get their custom grenades, and now they're all tough. You know, so they go dressed up in their turtle suit and they come to the cage because they're afraid, because they're intending to extract each and every one of these individuals out of the cage. So they come up to Bryson. Bryson's handcuffed. He doesn't have any shackles on his feet. None of them do, but they're all handcuffed. So they come up to the cage. You know, this story is relayed to me by Bryson. When we were in that shoot, I told him when me and Bryson was in Atwater together again, we spent a lot of time together. We were cellies, and also we were in the shoe for months and months on end for other altercations. So he's telling me the story. So he comes in, so the guards come to his cage. And, you know, Bryson, he likes to wreck. Everybody that knows him or whatever, he's not ducking nothing. And if you ever met anybody that's not afraid of anything, that would be one individual that's not afraid of anything. I don't even think he goes through the apprehension that most of us go through before we get into an altercation, like where our heart starts beating faster, we get nervous or whatever. I don't even know if those emotions go through Bryson's body. So they're at the cage, and he's like, yeah, bro, come on in, bro, come on in. You know, Bryson's a big guy. You know, right now, I mean, at the time when he was in his shoe, they were starving him, so he was under 200 pounds. But right now, he's like 360 plus. But doesn't matter how much he weighs, doesn't matter how big he is or how slim he gets, he's a force of nature. And somebody very, very difficult to deal with. But they seen that he's a pretty good sized kid. He's like, hey, come on in, bro. Come on in. And they looked at him, thought about it, and they was like, nah, we're gonna go get your little buddy first. And Matsunaga is my size, 5'5", 5'6", 140, 150 pounds. But that just shows you the mentality of these correctional officers. They don't want to fight. They don't want to go up. You know, when somebody's big, you know, they're scared. Their little butt cheeks pucker up and whatnot. But they're so quick to go get the little guy or somebody that's handcuffed and shackled and that's defenseless. You know, those are the things that excite them because they just want to beat you down. They don't want you to fight back. And then, but at the same time, they feel like, oh, they're tough. You know, you got fucking 8 guys dressed up in riot gear going to get one person in a cage, and now you're all fucking tough. You know, I've been extracted out of my cell. I've been extracted out of my cell plenty of time. And afterwards, you can always hear them, oh, high five and talk about, oh, yeah, we got him good, we got him good. Like how tough you are. How tough are you if you had to fucking spray me with 2 cans of mace, shoot me with bean bags until I can't see, until I can't breathe, and then you pop the door and come in. You know? Now any one of you is trying to come in by yourself. You know, when I'm talking shit through them through the bars, through the door, they're not popping that door and coming in. Nah, they're gonna go get dressed up and go bring all their extra materials and stuff to fuck your ass off first before they rush into your cell. So, you know, through the course of all these episodes, I'm sure you can feel that I don't have any type of respect for these individuals. That's because I don't. You know, I've lived in their environment for over 2 decades. I've seen them. And 90% of them are a bunch of cowards. You know, there's a few correctional officers that are decent, that are respectful, and that are men and women. But you can tell those individuals apart from the rest of them. A lot of them just a bunch of boys that ain't never had nothing going on in their lives, and the federal government saved them by giving them a job with benefits and all that. Because other than that, I mean, just think about it. Why would you want to work in a correctional facility? It's a facility full of condemned men and women. It's a miserable place. So why would you willingly put yourself in that environment unless you had no other options? If you're really skilled, had some type of talent, you'd be in the private sector. You don't be working in a freaking prison, you know? But that being said, when they go up to Bryson's cage and Bryson tell him, come on in here, bro. They shook their head and they're like, nah, you know, we're gonna go get your little homeboy first. So Bryson looked at him and was like, oh yeah? Now, any of you that's ever been in the penitentiary, that's ever been locked up, when they put you in a holding cage, now these holding cage are, for the most part, is manufactured by every company, by the same company throughout, you know, that they put out to all the feds or to the state. But regardless of which company makes these cage, you and I, and almost probably 99% of the rest of the world, we would die in that cage before we were able to break it or break out of it. So when they go up to Matsunaga's cage, which is in the middle cage, Bryson goes to the side, barefoot, mind you, and kicks the cage. Bah! The cage starts rattling. And for a minute, everybody's like, they're like, what the hell is this guy doing? Kicks it again. Bah! Bah! And he proceeds to keep kicking this cage barefooted. And now here's the part that you guys are probably gonna roll your eyes and might not believe. He broke the cage. He kicked it and kicked it. I don't know how many times he kicked that cage, but he broke all the welding on the side of the cage. After he broke the welding on the side of the cage, he pulled the cage up, ripped it up, and slipped into the middle cage. And at the time he was doing this, Rob on the other side, the Hawaiian, was trying to do the same thing. He's over there kicking the cage, but like I said, you know, Bryson is superhuman while the rest of us are just ordinary human. And Rob was kicking the cage a couple times like, oh, bro, help. Hey, come get me, bro. And he started hurting his feet. And so now Bryson goes to the other side of the cage where Rob is and starts kicking that side of the cage. Start kicking it, bah, bah, doing the same thing until all the welding on the side of that cage broke off, peeled the cage, and dragged Rob through it. But when he dragged Rob through it, I think one of the metals caught on Rob's back, and he got a big old, and scraped him with a big ass gash, and he's just like, what the He's like, what's up? Oh no, it's okay, bro. It's okay, bro. But Bryson told me he had a big ass, deep ass gash on his back from getting caught on the cage when he's bringing them through. So now you got all three of them in the cage. You got Bryson, Rob, and Matsunaga. but they're all still handcuffed. So the COs, they're kind of shocked that a human being was able to kick and break 2 cages with his bare foot. So now they're not so quick to run him up in there now. But they really don't want to show that they're a bunch of cowards. So they're still determined to come in there. So Bryson's in the cage and he's telling them, yeah, come on in, bro. What's up, bro? Come on in, bro. And like, yeah, we're coming in there. Shit, you're still handcuffed. We're coming in there. So when they tell Bryson that he's still handcuffed and they're coming in there, Bryson walks up to the front of the cage, put his hands up in front of him, said, oh, these, bro. He's right here, bro. And snap the handcuff. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of you that's viewing this has been handcuffed. They're made of stainless steel. They're designed for you not to be able to break them. They're designed for you not to be able to get out of them. Bryson snapped the handcuff. When he snapped the handcuff, the COs looked at him because now he's free. He don't have shackles on his legs and his hands are not restrained anymore. They already seen what he was able to do to the wreck cage. So the thoughts in their process, the thought that they're processing in their head, I'm sure is like, hey, if he can do that to this fucking wreck cage, what the hell is he gonna do to my face? They all turned around and left. Went and told the warden. The warden came back with the clipboard. Like, Mr. P.O.Z., what is it that you want? And again, we don't want anything while we're we understand the environment that we're in, that we're locked up. We know there's certain things that we just can't have. But the bare necessities we should be able to have. And they want to deny us that. And the demands that Bryson made after all these COs tucked their tail, they went and got the warrant and came back with the clipboard. You know, the demand that Bryson made was, hey, we want better medical, we want better food, I want a pillow, and my friend Masanaga wants to see his son before he goes back to the mainland because he hasn't seen his kid for years. Yeah, he's on visiting restriction, but so the fuck what? A father is trying to see his son. But they don't see us as human beings. They don't ever put in the emotional factor and the psychological factor into anything, any decisions that they make. It's all punitive. Oh, you violated one of our rules, so we're gonna put this restriction on you and take your phone and take your emails and take your visits. When the things that you do don't have nothing to do with any of this shit. And they're not understanding that being able to see your kid, being able to see your wife, being able to see your family might help you not to get in trouble because you have something to look forward to. And it might help you like ease the craziness that is building in your head from being in the freaking environment. But long story short, Masanaga got his visit with his kid. They brought Bryson better food and better medical. And I think they gave him a pillow. You know, that's Bryson P.O.Z. And I'm sure there's so many more stuff that people's witnessed and seen crazy shit that he's done. I mean, this dude at 6'2", 300 pounds could jump up and kick the basketball rim. You know, he could jump off the ironing board, which is about this high, at least 4 feet, on the knuckles of his toes. You and I, we can't even stand on the knuckle of our toes. He can jump off it, land on it, and bounce on it like a rabbit. Yeah. Hopefully, I get the opportunity to interview him and introduce him to the world. But that's Bryson P.O.Z., a force of nature. Welcome to the USP. Thank you for tuning in. Please, if you like these episodes, subscribe, share, like. You know the drill. Thank you.